What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. If you've been here before, I want to play a deck on MTGO in Premodern that we haven't touched in a minute. We've been playing decks kind of similar to it, but we haven't actually touched this deck. And I think I looked at the channel and it was like 3 or 4 months ago. This is land still, and kind of a misnomer. There's no standstills in this deck. Let's take a look at what we're looking at. We've seen me play a deck very much like this before. The thing I want to point out first and foremost is this is not a traditional landstill deck, and not just because we don't have standstill, but because we're doing Parallax Tide things. Parallax Tide, kind of a scourge on the format. A lot of people hate it. I think it's fine, but also I think it's fine if Berlin decides to ban it. It doesn't make a huge difference to me. It just does create some unfun play patterns. But we're playing a deck that isn't interested in our opponent's fun at all, so that's okay. Parallax Tide is the 4-mana enchantment that stops our opponents from having lands, provided we're able to support it, and we sure can support it using our Stifles and Chain of Vapors to take the Parallax Tide out of play with the triggers on this deck, or to stifle the trigger to put stuff back in. That's pretty simple. The rest of the deck is a control deck. Swords to Plowshares. We've got Seal of Cleansing, which also combos with Parallax Tide, in addition to being artifact and enchantment removal, Wrath of God, Decree of Justice, Impulse, Mana Link, Counterspell, and then Accumulated Knowledge instead of Standstill. And our win conditions, besides the Decree of Justice, are in the mana base. We've got Faerie Conclave in addition to a bunch of Mishra's factories. This list just did well at, let's see if I can credit the architects real quick before we get too deep into it, because both of the lists that we're playing today were ripped off of the Nantuko League. And this was by Navas, N-A-V-A-S, their landstill control deck that won the event. And the Burning Tog deck is also by Esteban Apazo. And we'll talk about that in the next video. We do some double recordings if you're watching this on Fluorescent Fungus. But that's the deck. That's what you need to know. The sideboard looks very much like a landstill sideboard. We've got a big Angel. We've got some extra board wipes, some more specific interaction with Blue Blast, Hydroblast, Hibernation, and Annul. Then Meddling Mages for matchups where there's a very specific card we do not want to resolve, like Stifle. Not. That's everything you got to know about this deck. Let's hop in and play some games. So sorry. Okay, we apologize to our opponent because we found our opponent, but we found them before and we queued with the wrong deck because we're doing a double deck stream today. I would like to play first. And this hand is Chain of Vapor, 2 Impulses, Fact or Fiction. This is basically a mulligan to nothing because none of our cards except for Chain of Vapor do anything on their own, but it could be anything, so I will keep. Also, we have double white in case Wrath of God comes up, and we've got the Flooded Strand. No double blue in our hand, which is pretty helpful. I'm likely to just play this Flooded Strand and fetch right now. On the off chance we're playing against Dreadnought, I don't want to get locked out of blue because they have Stifle. F6. The Baddest, good morning. What's up, baby? How you doing? Ooh, we got a Forest. Okay. Lawnmower Elf, sure. Interestingly, I could just Fact or Fiction this not Fact or Fiction, Chain of Vapor this Elf. I think I will, just as a tempo play. I don't want that to hang out and abuse me too much. And this will let me get my planes into play and start impulsing. The card we're the most worried about resolving right now is Survival of the Fittest. We've got these impulses, so finding a Seal of Cleansing shouldn't be impossible. Also, jamming it into open blue mana might be a little bit insane. Yeah, Elf is fine. Another green, and we got a Birchlore Rangers. Looks like we're playing against Elves, which a lot of control players misidentify this matchup as being good for the control deck. It can be quite difficult for the control deck to win. They've got so many tricks, and Wraths don't really do the thing you want it to. I'm chilling fly out tomorrow for Universal Studios. Going to visit the Mushroom Kingdom. Nice. Tell the boys I said what's up. We're going to Impulse here at the end step. A Counterspell, Island, Mishra's Factory, and another Impulse. Taking this Counterspell is a little bit loose because we don't even have double blue. I could just take a land here. I could also just take another Impulse. And it seems like finding my Wrath is something I eventually want to do. So I think I will actually Impulse for Impulse here. We'll take an on-tap and draw for turn. Ooh, we drew the blue source. You hate to see it. That makes me really wish we had just taken the our good friend Counterspell, but we didn't know that was coming up. Okay, what we'll do, I think I do want to disincentivize our opponent from attacking if we can, just keep ourselves healthy. So I'll just drop Factory here and pass. Eli, what's going on, baby? We're playing some MTGO. We're playing some land still right now. But as I talked about in the intro of this video people are watching, it's actually Accumulated Knowledge instead of Standstill. But I haven't touched the blue-white control deck in a minute, and I just wanted to like play it a little bit while I've got some downtime before my big stream that's coming up. All right, Priest of Titania comes into play. Nothing has haste, but that's a Gaia's Cradle. So I think we are like super high on trying to find Wrath of God here. Ranger triggers, I'm sure it gets a mountain. Just a forest, interesting. Tap the Lawnmower Elves, is it, oh, we're untapping the Lawnmower Elves by bouncing the Granger. That makes sense, good and grindy. Play the Granger out again, this does let them go get the mountain. I assume they're gonna get it here. Nope, just another forest. Maybe they don't have it, that would be weird. They can keep doing this trick. I assume they'll just wait to get it until they absolutely have to. All right, we'll go Island and Factory, and we will cast Impulse. We see a Swords, we see a Parallax Tide. This Parallax Tide is not going to be very good in this matchup. If I tied their entire mana base, they're going to be left with 1, 2, is it any 2 elves? Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. So that doesn't actually do anything. So what I'll do is I'll take Swords to Plowshares, bottom everything else. And then this Wirewood Symbiote is going to protect the Titania. which is a concern. So it might just be correct to Swords to Plowshares the Wirewood symbiote itself here. I think that's what I'm gonna do. All right, untap and draw. You see a Seal of Cleansing. That could be good in a moment, but for now, what I wanna do is play out this Adarkar Wastes and hold up Fact or Fiction. As long as we can find our single copy, we've only got one copy in the main, but our single copy of Wrath of God, as long as there isn't a Wirewood symbiote in play, we've got some serious game. They're playing the Echo, paying the Echo trigger on Yavimaya Granger. There's the Mountain, that's why they didn't get it, they naturally had it. They go to combat, that seems ambitious. They don't attack, so they only have 2 in hand. They could have Stone Cold Nothing, which would make me pretty comfortable. I'm gonna Fact or Fiction and stuff. There's a Decree, Swords. Yeah, they're probably gonna like split up our white cards. They concede. That was a little bit aggressive of a concession if I'm being honest, but that's okay. All right, we'll bring in Wrath of God. I think we'll think about Exalted Angel. Hibernation is hilariously good. Hydro and Blue Elemental Blasts are miserable. Annul's become a big question. Like, do we want Annul in this matchup simply to just counter survival? Do we think they have Tangle Wire? Because if they have Tangle Wire, Annul stock shoots up through the roof. Let's think about them. Let's bring in, let's say 2 for now. And then I think I'm also gonna strongly consider Meddling Mage. That's 8 cards, which is pretty heavy. But just to begin, we're going to take out all of our Parallax Tides, both of our Stifles. We're going to take out the Tide package completely. And then I think all of the Chain of Vapors, and that looks clean. Then it becomes, is there something else I want to lose for the Annul? And I think the Counterspell might not be great. Keeping them off Survival is super strong. Very true. I mean, if they don't have Survival, they're just playing like a pretty medium mid-range deck. I think I'm also going to lose Counterspell to just bring in the 3rd Annul. This might be a little bit hyperbolic of a way to sideboard, you know, siding out the entire Tide package, because sometimes it does stuff, but I think for the most part, since half their creatures tap for mana anyway, locking them out of lands isn't going to do a lot for us. We're just going to switch back to a more classic version of Standstill and submit deck. Grease Monkey, what up, my dude? How you doing, baby? How you doing in the league? I'm 1-0 right now. I just beat Schneider-san on, I don't know if you're in my pod, so I won't say what I'm on, but my deck's really cool. I did roll Villain for the Tireless Tribe League, but last time I got Hero and I went 2-2. I liked my deck, but you're one of the dudes who slapped me in the face. You slapped me down pretty hard. Okay, this hand is Decree, Counterspell, Accumulated Knowledge. We have absolutely no interaction versus the early game, and if they simply resolve Survival of the Fittest, we are dead in the water. I know this looks like a good medium hand, but we're gonna go for something better. Take a mulligan. This hand is 1 land, which is already like a big no-no. But assessing the rest of the hand, there's no Annul. If there was an Annul, I consider keeping it just because if all they're doing is playing a bunch of elves, we've got a lot of turns. But there's no Annul in here, so this is the same problem if they go into Survival. We're on the draw, so Meddling Mage is worse, so we're gonna go to 5. This hand, okay, we're not going to 4. We're gonna keep this. We're probably dead in the water to a single Survival unless we rip Annul off the top. I think we'll pitch the Faerie Conclave, plus I'm not really in love with the idea of impulsing for land, but I think I want to give myself the opportunity to naturally draw land and still have gas in my hand. We're keeping. Ivan, hey, how's it going, Mushroom? Any chance you play Storm on Magic Online? Not yet. Although I do have this weekend, I'm going to pick up the rest of my paper Storm deck so we can do some Storm games in the studio. All right, let's go. Annul off the top, baby. All right, Decree of Justice is the opposite of Annul. We'll pass and see if they have Survival. Oh no, one moment, my camera. All right, let me know if that happens again. It was plugged in improperly because I got a weird power strip behind the desk. If that happens again, someone scream at me in chat. Grease Monkey, watch streak reached. Oh shit. All right. Well, that entire time that I went to do that, I know there's a cut in real life, but it took me like a minute to fix my camera, which just went black. Priest of Titania, I can't stop that, but it's not a survival, so we'll take it. This means I can potentially get a blue mana down underneath the survival and handle all of the biggest problems that this deck can present. Worrying Ranger's quite good. They're going to go very, very, very strong on mana next turn, or this turn, but that's just a lot more help. They still can't survival us. We'll take it. This means we can hold up Counterspell for the survival if they have it, and if they don't, we will just impulse, because we're still looking for like board wipe here. We did bring a second Wrath of God in, so that's pretty good. Kind of want Iggy Pop, but LED is so expensive. Proxy your LEDs, and I do have LEDs waiting for me. My buddy Foley picked them up for me from a different type of website. All that's to say is, all I'm saying here is we're going to be playing Iggy Pop soon. Call of the Herd, strong. I'm not going to counter that. I'm going to let them do all their things. I'm assuming they just want to flash back their Call of the Herd. They do. The reason we're not countering these is because there it is. There's the survival. Because I am terrified of survival, and we have the out to it. You can make as many elephants as you want to. Do you have a second Yavimaya Granger? Sure. They don't have a second survival, it looks like. This is a fast clock, but our deck has many ways to kind of wiggle out from under this. The main one just being draw Wrath of God, and we do have Impulse and AK in our hand. Take a draw step, it's an Adarkar Wastes, sure. I think we'll play Flooded Strand, because I think what we want to do before we AK is just straight up impulse. And if we have to take something and there's something else that we want to leave on that we don't want on the bottom of our deck, I want to be able to fetch. Also, like, there's only so many planes in our deck, so if we like do this, we're probably going to do this before we take damage, just in case we don't find Wrath. So we'll go Impulse. We don't find Wrath, but we do find Swords, so that's going to slow things down a little bit. Unfortunately, I do have to shuffle, and I don't mind those cards being at the bottom, but we're going to grab this Plains, tap it, Swords to Plowshares, hitting the Elephant token. It'll subdue this clock the most out of all the things I can do here. They're only at 1 in hand, but I have to find gas like now. We got AK plus Decree. I think what we'll do is we'll go Adarkar Wastes, and then we're going to pass. How much damage is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're solidly on a 2-turn clock. This Decree of Justice, what happens if we block with block the 3/3, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's still a 2-turn clock. I think we're better off just taking this full hit and then go, oh, but I miscounted that Granger dealt 2. All right, we got to find it like now, and we got to find an on-tap white source. That's not great. All right, there's an on-tap white source that deals damage to me. And a Swords. Okay, our opponent went fast enough. Follow the herd, did the thing. We did mulligan to 5 there, so I'm not sweating it too much. I still like our configuration. 2 Wrath of Gods. Hibernation was also an out there. So we're just going to resubmit this deck. All right, we get to be on the play. We've got Swords to Plowshares into Counterspell. I think this is a keep. Our hand's looking a little bit anemic, but with this Mishra's Factory, we should be able to hold off some of the early aggression and just try to keep Survival out of play and keep drawing our cards one at a time until we find our late game. And our late game happens basically when the turn counter clicks up to like turn 8 and our opponent's still not able to kill us. At that point, we are very much ahead. Okay, we've got the Swords, so I think we should lead on Flooded Strand. We're not going to fetch and use the Swords. I just want this to be in play in case something goes sideways. We're very likely to just get Island for Counterspell. Lawnmower Elves is fine. See, if I Swords this thing right now, and I could have a Adarkar Wastes to Swords it, but sometimes these Elves decks do play copies of Wasteland. Not super interested in getting blown out by that. So we'll get this Island, untap and draw. Now if they have Wasteland, they can do the things. And we've got 2 Counterspells, so I'm very comfortable letting this Lawnmower Elves produce them a mana. We can hold up Counterspell for the foreseeable future. Next turn, we can Swords that elf. Multani's Acolyte is fine. If they miss their land drop here, they can't pay the Echo. That would be funny. But they hit their land drop. All right, they're fetching. If they go to play like a Wirewood Symbiote, we're likely to Swords the Multani's Acolyte, I think. Or we could just Counterspell the Wirewood Symbiote. I think weirdly, that's exactly what we're going to do. Do not underestimate the power level of Wirewood Symbiote. That card is insane. We're going to play Floody, and we'll just fetch for a Plains now, and then we'll stop them in their upkeep. I want to see if they pay for this Multani's Acolyte Echo trigger. They do. All right, they've paid for it. I'm going to tap for a white, and I'm going to Swords their mana source. Continue. You can attack for 2. That's fine with me. I'll go to 16. Play another banger, just a Lawnmower Elves. That's fine. Untap, draw Meddling Mage. Strong. We'll go Adarkar Wastes. We'll go white, and in case they randomly have a, what do you call it? A Wasteland, I will just use this for colored mana. We'll go white, blue, and we'll play Meddling Mage. Here, we could name Survival, but I can Counterspell. Anything they want to invest a ton of mana into, I can Counterspell, so I am just going to be safe and name Survival of the Fittest. I know it seems weird because I have the Counterspell up right now for Survival, but if I name something big and they jam Survival, I like have to Counterspell, or if I name something big and they jam the Counterspell, jam the non-Survival, I have to Counterspell the other thing, and then next turn I'm in the same spot. I hope that makes sense what I just said. They go to combat, they'll attack for 2, I'll take it. Not really interested in blocking. I know it seems like the pressure's mounting, I have 2 Mishra's Factories in my hand. Green Ranger's fine. If they have a Wirewood, that will not be. Green, green, green. Tangle Wire. That's not fine. Get out of here. All right, untap, draw Heater. Doesn't get much better than that. Here's a Factory. I'll pass the turn. It's going to be very difficult for them to get my Meddling Mage out of play. That's interesting. They attack in anyway. Do I block with Factory? I think I'm just going to hardcast Fact here. I need the refill. 1, 2, Multani's Acolyte, number 2, that's fine. A Wirewood Symbiote. I hate that, but it resolves. This is going to be a constant source of card advantage for them until I can find a way out. Tap for a green, untap the Lawnmower Elves, bounce the Multani's Acolyte, tap for a green, second Acolyte. This is very strong. Another Forest. Are you going to go any wider for me? Hibernation would be like the greatest pickup of all time here. It would leave my Meddling Mage in play while resetting the board. But we'll just see. We're going to take it a step at a time and see what this Factor Fiction nets us. End step. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, Wrath of God. How wonderful. Wrath versus the World, huh? I will take the World. I know it seems weird to not take the Wrath here, but if I Wrath them, they'll simply bounce Multani's Acolyte. I'll lose the Meddling Mage. I won't have permission up, and they'll Windmill Slam their survival that they definitely have. So we're just going to untap. Another factory is great here. We will play it. And then which one of these just came into play? Newly controlled. This is the top one is the newly controlled Mishra's factory. This is super important, by the way, guys. That means if I activate it, I can't pump it to itself. I think here I could jam my Seal of Cleansing, but that makes me weaker in combat on this next attack. So we're just going to pass. And if they go to bounce an Acolyte, I might impulse in response just to see if I can find a Swords for the Wirewood Symbiote to slow down their grind game. All right, they're doing it. We're going to go blue, white, holding up blue, blue. Yeah, that's perfect. We're going to impulse. Ooh, we see a Wrath of God here and a Meddling Mage. See, the Meddling Mage is interestingly maybe a little bit better than Wrath because I could Meddling Mage naming Multani's Acolyte and take this grind game away from them. What happens if I take the Wrath of God here? I cast Wrath, lose Meddling Mage, Wirewood Symbiote buys back Multani's Acolyte. I'm still naked to survival. Yeah, we're weirdly going to take Meddling Mage here, and we're going to let them grind a little bit harder. All right, Wirewood Symbiote's ability is good. Obviously, the thing we're looking for there, Swords to Plowshares, so we can just take out the Symbiote. All right, now they're going to have an Echo Trigger that I'm sure they're going to respond to by paying it. I'm surprised they didn't bounce it with Wirewood Symbiote here. You've got an Acolyte. Grind away. Combat's bad for them. That's why I feel so comfortable not taking the Wrath of God. Having a bunch of factories in this matchup, strong. Another thing we could do is name something that's not Acolyte and let them just keep drawing and not care about what they play. But I think that that is a little bit loose. Hardcast Genesis, strong. Although my factories can still beat it in combat. Let's see if they decide to get Froggy. They don't. Very intelligent. My turn, untap and draw. Another Factor Fiction, very strong. I think we need to just keep getting these factories into play and developing Meddling Mages. We're taking 4 from a Genesis, I think, for the first attack. Let's make sure none of these factories are summoning sec. And then let's go blue-white and play Meddling Mage. And we're gonna name Multani's Acolyte. There we go. Quit doing that loop. That's not polite. I played blue-white against elves and Timberwatch Elf is so much worse. Factories do nothing. Yeah, that's what I said that earlier. People, I think a lot of control players go in thinking this matchup's a buy. This matchup is, I don't hate it. Like, it's not a miserable matchup, but this is a matchup you can very much lose. I got paired up against my buddy Max in a local event a few months back, and he was playing elves and I was playing Landstill, and he sat down and he's like, well, should I just concede? I'm like, no. And he 2-0s me, like, easily, because Max is also he's a stronger player than you would think watching him on the channel. All right, we're getting with the Genesis. Like I said, we're going to take the first hit for 4. To deal with that Genesis, we really like to Swords it. That way they can't keep grinding with Genesis. That would be bad for us. All right, there's a Deranged Hermit. That we have to let resolve. Now we're really just looking for Hibernation, since one of our Wraths is on the bottom and the other one's in our hand. They're going to loop that. Yeah, we're looking for one thing right now. All right, you're wide. You did it, opponent. Untap target creature, sure. If they go too wide, they do get blown out, though. Okay, end step. Here comes my Factor Fiction. 1, 2, 3, 4. Decree of Justice, helpful. Yeah, we'll take the Decree. Mr. Buy Me Time. Untap. I wish there was a Swords in there. Being able to Swords the dude would have been good. All right, now we're in a tough spot. We need to think. We're gonna play this Plains. How many Angels can we make? Doesn't matter. We can make infinitely more 1/1s. If we make a bunch of 1/1s, can we survive? All access is back. Hey, don't interrupt my game with that. What the hell, MTGO? How many Decree tokens can we make and still get some blocks off with Meddling Mage? We're at 7, so it doesn't look likely, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can make 5. 6, 7 blockers. If we block all of the squirrels, we'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, nope, that is game. GG. All right, elves got us. Kind of awkward there, seeing the Wrath at the time we didn't want them. We really wanted to develop a Swords a little bit earlier to deal with the Symbiote so we could clean the Wrath. We didn't hit that, but that's okay. That was just round 1. Let's hop into round number 2. All right, we found a new opponent and we are on the draw. But we do have Swords to Plowshares, Permission, and half of the Tide still combo. So we're gonna keep. The thing we don't want to see is a Swamp. Okay, cool. No duress. All right, it's a Rack. We can kind of contend with the Rack for a little bit. We'll untap and take nothing to the Rack because we have so many cards in our hand. And we'll take a little draw step. It's a mana leak. We're going to play a basic Plains in case they have, like, I don't know what we would actually Swords on too, because it wouldn't be a Ravenous Rat. Ooh, Windswept Heath. Are you getting a green? Is this Worm Rack? It's a Rotting Giant. That I would Swords. Go me. White, Swords, no. On tap, I have 6 in hand, so your Rag means nothing to me. I'm going to draw a card and have mana leak up for the foreseeable future. Island, go. I think if they Cabal Therapy, we have to mana leak it because I'm not showing blue. 3 mana Bottomless Pit? I don't think so. Looks like we're playing against green-black Pit Rack. I would be surprised if there weren't Tempting Worms in this deck. All right, the Rack triggers, but nothing happened. We draw on Adarkar Wastes. I don't believe we need blue up, so we'll take this moment to get a factory into play. Green, black, Wall of Blossoms. I will not interact with your Wall of Blossom. You may draw and card black, green, Sylvan Library? I will absolutely, however, interact with your Sylvan Library. I don't think so. All right, untap and draw. This rack getting a little bit closer to starting to deal damage to us. AK is a fine pickup here, though. I think I'll just play out the Adarkar Wastes and then ship the turn. This will give us a chance to AK into like our 3rd mana leak if we need to. That's why I didn't play out the plains, because we're not out of the woods yet. Things can go south from here. First scroll, not something we're particularly worried about at the moment. 1, 2, 3, bottomless pit. This one I think is an AK in response. All right, there's another AK. We'll let that go. Don't you think this mana base does not support blue-white for counterspell well enough? Like it relies on, nope, I don't think so. I think this mana base is fine. I think that you're not going to be casting counterspell on 2 all the time. But in how many matchups are you actually interested in casting Counterspell on turn 2? All right, we draw 2 with that, and it's 2 islands, which is like not the greatest, but also we just need raw resources in our hand because we've just got lands. They made us discard a land, fine. Take a draw, it's another land. So we're gonna play out factories now. That way they can't get froggy in combat. Not that they have anything to get froggy with, but I just don't want my Mishra's factories to have summoning sickness. Now they're gonna be playing off the top as well. Oh, they just pitched a call to herd though. Now it's a little bit spooky. Well, I guess not. We've got 2 factories. Treetop Village, a little bit more spooky. This rack it's still not going to do anything just yet. And we've got a lot of hot top decks. We just need to sit here and play for as long as possible. Impulse, kind of one of them. Do we do it right now? I think so. We'll go blue, and I think we're playing our land out as well. Let's play this island and tap for I don't think we're trying to hold Counterspell up right now either. We'll just do it like this and perhaps this is better. Yeah, that's still just a little bit better. And then we will Impulse. Not a bad top deck. Factor Fiction or AK becomes the big question. I could take Seal of Cleansing and like deal with one of their things, but I just want to get as many cards as possible. Factor Fiction gives my opponent some choice. I've already got 2 AKs in the bin. I think I'm awkwardly going to take Accumulated. I know maybe that seems a little counterintuitive. Factor Fiction digs deeper, but you don't give away as much information with AK, especially against the deck that may or may not be playing Cabal Therapy. Our opponent's still playing hot off the top. Tap for a black. Cabal Therapy. Do I think that they're going to name AK? There's already 2 in my bin. I would be shocked if they named AK. They probably named Factor Fiction. They named Parallax Tide, even better. The reason we didn't AK in response is because then they'll flashback Cabal Therapy and be able to name the thing they were going to name anyway. And they don't mind sacrificing the Wall of Blossoms to do so. The other thing that this does is it makes it so they can't attack, not profitably anyway. Which one of neither of these is newly controlled. So if they get busy with both things, I can fire up Factory and then block and then pump Factory with the other Factory, and they can't curse scroll it. So then I can pump the Factory to itself and they lose a creature. So these factories, awesome. UPS fail order. I have no clue. Oh, I don't know what that means, but I assume it's referring to my accumulated knowledge. All right, they don't do any attacking, which I agree with. Blue, colorless, AK. All right, there's a swords. I'd prefer to not lose that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna tap for a white and lose a life. And then I'm glad they're gonna swords this elephant token. This is gonna open me up to playing Dust Bowl so they can't use their Treetop Village as well. Hopefully, I'd rather actually discard the Counterspell than the Dust Bowl here. We discard neither. We get to keep both. It's Parallax Tide. I love this card. We don't have an enabler for it right now though, so we're just gonna drop Dust Bowl, and then I could Dust Bowl the Treetop right now, but I don't think there's anything they're doing in 5 mana. So we'll just pass. Pit's gonna make you discard a card. You don't care. You don't have any. Green, black, Wall of Blossoms. Okay, I don't care about a wall. Okay, here they'll probably name Parallax Tide. I kind of don't want to give up the goat on what's in my hand, but also if they name Counterspell, I get to keep the Tide and I have a 50% chance to keep it. So I'm just gonna let this go. They name Tide again, which is fine. I don't have the enabler for it. It'd be a real bummer if I like top decked into an enabler, but it is what it is. Now this rack is going to start to do work here. So we eventually need to find an out for that. They go to combat. There's no combat to be had though. They go to end step, and let's Dust Bowl their Treetop Village. 1, 2, 3. And then as far as the land we're sacrificing goes, I think we'll just sacrifice our Adarkar Wastes, because we've got basic planes. And if we discard basic planes instead of Counterspell, that's awesome. They're going to activate Curse Scroll here, which makes lots of sense. We'll take 2, take this pressure out of play. And then they're playing purely off the top again, because they're going to have to discard that card in their hand to hand size. We get to keep the Counterspell, which is quite good. Here, I think we'll hold the Adarkar Wastes just to take slightly less damage off of the rack. And we're going to keep top decking. First Scroll's getting activated. What are we naming? Doesn't particularly matter. I'm just taking 2. The rack, another the rack. Well, That gets countered. All right, now we're gonna take 3 to the rack. Now it's looking grim. We gotta find like 4th AK, Factor Fic, Impulse into action, something like that here. An island's not gonna do it. Now it's starting to look a little bit grim. I think we can actually Dust Bowl here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it doesn't lock us out of any of our meaningful spells. We'll pay 1, 2, 3, and we will sacrifice an island and rid them of the Lawnmower Wastes. Bottomless Pit does its thing. No players have cards in hand. Did you draw a heater? Every card's low-key a heater for them because of their curse scroll. All right, I've got nothing to discard, so I'll take 3 and go to 6. Seal of Cleansing would be great here. Ooh, Factor Fic? Okay. I think I need to give myself a chance to find the seal now. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Factor Fic. There's swords, mana. Yeah, that's not very good. I'm just going to take the biggest pile. If they split at lands and spells, I'll take the lands. Don't give me the opportunity for a 4 pile. That's crazy. There you go. That's a little bit better. All right, I'll take pile 1, any order. And then I will actually neglect to play a land here. A weird play I can make is get Mishra's Factory up to 4 power and then swords it. They have a Diabolic Edict in their hand. Sure. Pitch that to the pit. All right, they're just passing. They're casting Library. That's not great for us. That's a lot of things we need to be able to answer. All right, on tap, Pit does its thing. Please don't discard my swords. Thank you. I'll take 1. Okay. We're gonna concede this game. No matter what now, it's like deterministic. They've got Curse Scroll plus Library. I'm at 3, so I'm already taking 1 plus the damage from the Curse Scroll. We're dead. Okay. This matchup, I've never really played it. I don't know whose favor it's supposed to be in, though it feels like it cannot possibly be mine. I think Annul's awesome. They've got so many artifacts and enchantments. I think all these suck. Meddling Mage, I think, is pretty good. It's like a body that deals with stuff. I think Wrath of God kind of blows. I don't know how wide they're reasonably going to go, but what else sucks? I think Tide's good. Seal of Cleansing, pretty good. I think my counterspells actually suck. Mana Leak's a bit better, but I think counterspell sucks. Let's cut the counterspells. At least me with 3 more cuts. Mana Leaks are a little bit better. They're a little bit more agile in opening hands. I don't have to think so hard. Chain of Vapor, pretty good. Stifle, all these are fine. I think I'm keeping the Tide package in. I'm on 4 seal on my list. Yeah, that's totally valid too. I think 4 seals is a fine number. Decree's good. These cuts are kind of hard. Maybe just Wrath, and like I like my selection with impulses. Don't want to cut Factor Fic. Let's go ahead and trim like Stifle as a 1-of, plus maybe it's okay to lose. I like my swords well enough too. Maybe 3 Annul is a bit high. Something like this. Something like this. I'm gonna try this. This is actually my first time playing this matchup, which is weird because I have both decks in the studio, but we just hasn't come up yet. All right, I will be on the play. This hand has Tide, Swords, AK. Yeah, we're keeping. It's just a fine hand of cards. I'm gonna lead on Flooded Strand because there is a non-zero chance that our opponent's playing Wasteland. Less likely than normal because there's green in their deck, because Sylvan Library is the hell of a card. But I don't want to play into it anyway. Swamp, Black, Duress. Yeah, they're all yours, baby. They're probably supposed to take Parallax Tide here. AK would make like next to no sense. Swords could make sense if they're on like a Tempting Worm hand, because I assume they've got worms in their deck. Opponent's really tanking on this Duress. Yeah, they take the Tide. I think that's ultimately correct. Pass to me. I won't even bother fetching. I'm just going to untap and draw. Another Factory. I think I'm cool. Get a Factory into play now. Depending on the texture of their hand, pressuring them a little bit might not be the worst thing ever. What do I do if they Ravenous Rats me? Probably just pitch a Adarkar Wastes. I probably fetch, cast Accumulated Knowledge, and then pick my pitch. The Rotting Giant, that's fine. All right, they're passing. We're gonna go end step, fetch, grab a little island action, go blue, whatever. AK. AK into AK? Not quite. Factor Fiction's almost good, but they've got a chance here to nab it out of our hand. Another Adarkar Wastes is not great. I feel like I'm playing an Adarkar Wastes. I could play Mishra's Factory and try to get cute, activate Factory, block, pump, but if our opponent's smart, they didn't remove all of their removal because they know that my Mishra's Factories are actually kind of okay in this match. They go to combat. I'm gonna let them attack because they have to exile a card from their graveyard. So I'm pretty happy to just tap for a white here and swords the Rotting Giant. Green, black, Tempting Worm. Okay, we've got some play into this worm. I'm gonna drop all of my lands. 1, 2, 3 of them, and that lets me cast Factor Fiction. Black the rack, that's fine. Although I could have Factor Fiction for Annul, that'd been pretty good, huh? Tap, 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 Factor Fic. Ooh la la, lots of goodies. Nothing to remove the Tempting Worm though. Wow, they're freaked out about this Parallax Tide. I'm taking the pile of 4. All right, my turn. The rack does not trigger. Annul, 1 card too deep, huh buddy? Do we just impulse to try to find the answer to this worm straight away? No, I think we'll go white, blue. I'm gonna cast this mage. Now I need to really think about what I'm naming. I think it's just Call of the Herd, something I don't want to use a mana leak on. and then we'll simply pass the turn. I've got Mana Leak up, so like I'm comfortable taking the first 5 from this worm. Hopefully the impulse finds me an out to it. They fetch, that's fine. All right, it's a swamp. I imagine their fetches are just for Rotting Giant. Yeah, I'll take this beating for 5. I'll go to 12. 1, 2. Another Tempting Worm? No, I don't think so. Blue and colorless. Mana, no thank you. Pass to me. All right, impulse time, go to 10. Blue and a colorless. All right, we've got Exalted Angel, Decree of Justice, Accumulated Knowledge, and Island. I wonder if this is a situation where I just get Exalted Angel in play. They might struggle to answer it. I've got this Mana Leak. Are there options to get like AK to blindly draw 2? Seems loose. Yeah, we're taking Exalted Angel. Is this an ambient prog playlist? This is an album you're listening to. This is Grow by Chan. If you haven't checked out Chan, you should. They rule. Untap. The rack triggers. I take 0. Draw. Okay, we got another AK anyway, which is actually kind of nice. Here we got the big question of do we morph or hardcast our Angel? Morphing it costs 0, hardcasting it costs 2 in terms of life. I think that I would like to tap for a colorless, and a colorless, and morph this Angel. Obviously land plus smother blows us out, but I would be surprised if they had exactly that. Then we're gonna pass the turn, holding up this Mana Leak. I think I will be blocking with Meddling Mage here. The pressure is mounting, and I have a Mana Leak for the first Call of the Herd, so we're gonna go, oh, but Diabolic Edict, right? I don't think I can afford to play around it. Also, I've got these Mishra's Factories. Yeah, we'll block with Meddling Mage. 3, Call of the Herd. Blue, colorless, Mana Leak. Don't have Vendetta. End step, on tap. The rack will deal 1 to me, which is kind of sad. Impulse, nice. All right, Angel, it's your time. I have to lose 2 life to do this, which is not great, but it is what it is. All right, combat. Attack for 4, I'll gain 4, and then you may go, opponent. If I were to change one thing about this list, I really like a pair of angels in the sideboard of my Landstill deck. I'm also just a bigger fan of Standstill in this strategy as well, but that might be a me thing. I'm taking the 5 here. I still need to hold up like impulse. I still need more action. This isn't going to be enough on its own. All right, this is the Call of the Herd. That's fine. We're going to let that go. All right, deck, we're looking for gas now. Impulse, don't let me down. That counts as letting me down, dude. Neither of these creatures have trample, so I'm pretty sure it's just Decree. Yeah, we'll just take the Decree. Any order on the bottom, untap, trigger the rack, nothing happens. Land would actually be fine here. Land it is. Go to combat, attack for 4 in the air. Gotta put the clock on, gain 4 off the Angel, play this Plains, and now we're kind of cooking because we can put blockers into play and their creatures don't have trample. These are all very meaningful things coming out of my mouth. It is gonna cost me a life to cycle the no, it's not. It's just 1 white. So white, colorless, Decree, cycles. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. Make 4 dudes and draw a card. Impulse is fine here. Now I could do something weird like put 3 dudes in front of an elephant and 1 in front of the tempting worm. But I think that here, since I'm representing lethal on the crackback with my factories, I just want to chump. What's going on, Lufos Gaming? How you doing, baby? And we're at 9. I feel like we've mostly stabilized. Obviously something like a snuff out would be brutal here. Another Call of the Herd's fine. All right, untap and draw. The rack doesn't do anything. Seal of Cleansing, kind of minty here. So we can't go for lethal, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is effective. 7. I can attack for 7. That's not quite enough. Yeah, I think here I'm real comfy just attacking for 4 up high, maintaining this little clock, making sure I can kill next turn. They can't even attack out on their turn. Then I think I'm also pretty comfy with just resolving the Seal of Cleansing in case anything goes wrong. Then we'll just pass. No reason to AK or Impulse on my main phase. There's nothing I'm particularly interested in doing. If they full send, it's just a Sui mission. All right, they're on a Sui mission, I guess. Sure, dude. Do I get Froggy and block with the fact? I don't even bother. I've got so much power. Block, go to take 3. Do you just concede now? Yeah, you do. Okay, cool. Got it. Angel did the Angel thing. For this next game, I can consider Hibernation because of all of the Call of the Herds. I think that's actually a fine consideration. Also, I'm on the draw, so the Tide combo seems a little bit worse because it's going to be much harder to resolve. Same with Meddling Mage. I think I'll trim like a Meddling Mage for a Hibernation and actually just leave it at that. Maybe like Stifle needs to come out for like Wrath of God. Yeah, let's do that. Stifle, come out. Come in, Wrath of God. All right, let's submit. Shonard, subscribe to Prime. Thank you for the Prime sub, baby. Played against you last night on MTGO, learning how it works. Thanks, it was cool as I was being slow. Oh, no, dude, yeah. Were you the opponent I was playing that was playing Clerics? Was it you? That turn 1 you had on Clerics of Priest into Priest was pretty brutal. I think that match is pretty winnable for you, but I think you really got to search for like Duress Cabal Therapy type hands. Because if all you're doing is dumping creatures into play, like the combo goes over the top of you. But yeah, it's a sick deck. Do you think this kind of deck is playable without Tide? It's a ton of tickets, and I don't know if I want to use them for anything else. Yeah, this deck is very much playable without Tide. I think Tide just kind of takes you into the realm of being able to deal with other Tide decks is what it comes down to a lot. But I think traditional land still is a very good deck. This hand sucks. We don't have a blue source. We're going to mulligan. We don't love mulligan against Pit Rack though. AK Tide Annul. We've seen this hand before. We'll keep. We'll pitch Island. You're up, opponent. It's a treetop. Where's my Dust Bowl? Flooded Strand. Great. Here's a Island, and I hope my opponent tries to play a library. All right, Swamp, please play. Oh, Hidden Gibbons. Hidden Gibbons. Not today, bitch. I don't think so. That card will kill you. You should be afraid of Hidden Gibbons if you're not. Man, that Cabal Therapy on Annul would have been pretty good here, huh? They're definitely going to hit our Tide because they've got like a 3-for-3 record of just naming Tide off rip. And Tide hasn't been a part of any of these games. I'm not sure how good it's actually supposed to be. They named Counterspell. Ooh, you should have named Tide again. All right, untap and take a little drawski. Adarkar Wastes. Yeah, I'm not going to show that to them. I'm just going to play lanes out and ship the turn. I could have put a fetch land to like pretend I had Counterspell, but my opponent seems to know what they're doing. They're not going to, well, for the most part, they know what they're doing. They're not going to play into a Counterspell. Or they're not gonna assume I drew it. They're just gonna play their spells. There's the call. That happens. This is gonna be a bit of a detriment to our plan. That's a substantial power. This is the reason we brought in our hibernation. We'll have a big pre-modern tournament. We hope so at Plan and Fun, Ravato, Italy in December. If you want to challenge the pre-modern master of Maverick, Simone Arizo, you're welcome. I wish I could get out to Italy right now. That'd be so sick. Also, I'm a big fan of Arizo's that green-white aggro deck that he's been posting results with. It looks really good. I have actually played it here on the channel. Accumulated knowledge draws another land. That's not looking good. Take an untap and a draw. Money, another land. Okay, we're definitely flooding out here. They may Cabal Therapy or Parallax Tide and see what's up, which is absolutely stone cold nothing. Here's a Flooded Strand. We've got some time. We're not just dead yet, but like we don't even need to get that unlucky to just like brick for 2 turns and die to these elephants. Attack for 3 makes sense. I'm at 17. Flashback to therapy. Now they can see what's up. It's just Tide. You know, the thing is, getting the Tide here isn't even that good. All I can do is like stop them from casting a spell for a turn at this point. Oh, they can't flashback the call right now, it doesn't look like. But they've got a second call. Okay, yeah, we're really looking for hibernation. I think we're gonna fetch here just to like decrease the amount of lands in our deck. Swords to start. Land pass. I'm not gonna swords that elephant until they attack because they missed their land drop, so I'm kind of interested in them firing up their treetop village. All right, they're just attacking for 3. I could take this here. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to be a bit patient with this Swords to Plowshares. I'm not just gonna fire it off on nothing. A 3rd call of the herd. Good Lord. We're gonna untap and see if we can draw Wrath of God so we can save the swords. Another land. Mint. Looking good, chat. Looking good. Tap for a black. What do we want to do with that black? A green? Activate the treetop village. Well, this is kind of what we needed them to do. This gives us the out of top decking hibernation. I'm going to let them declare their attacks, and then I'm going to tap for a white and swords, getting a little paid off for my patience here. I knew they'd eventually do it. We're on a 3-turn clock. I do not want to fetch. I want to give myself as much time as possible to find an out to this. Swords, I mean, sure. I guess we have to swords an elephant token and like hope to find Factor Fiction or something. Finding a decree here would be fine too. All right, let's decrease the clock one more time. Swords here. We still cannot fetch. Tapping for a black, what does that do? Black and a green. All right, I take. I'm at 4. What costs a black and a green? You got a Sylvan Library, bro? They do. That's bad. All right, draw for turn. Factor Fic. Okay, we're going somewhere. This is still real grim. We're at 4 life. Maybe no, there's no way they give us Swords to Plowshares and an Answer to Library in the same pile, right? Also, they're 100% supposed to take 8 here. If they take anything less than 8, they're misplaying their library. Yeah, that's not good. You should have taken everything. Swamp, sure. Combat, I'll wait for them to declare the attacker. Then we'll go colorless, blue, white, blue, and cast Factor Fic. Brutal. I probably just need to take that AK. And I think our opponent has identified that we need to take that AK. Alternatively, Factory buys us a turn, but I don't think the seal does anything for us. Well, it takes care of the library, right? All right, they're giving us AK plus land, so we'll take pile 2, any order in the bin, and I will take 3. The recall of the herds is quite good. Therapy me? Check this out. AK for 2. All right, what you want to name? What are the chances they name this 3rd AK we drew? All right, you've got it. That resolves. Maybe they name Factor Fic? They name Swords. I don't have it. They can sack the elephant to cast it, or they can play like a wall. Hello, Mr. Mushroom. Have lurked and commented on the YouTube channel. Look forward to each upload, especially when Max is there. I still want to go fishing with him. Call him up and ask. Maybe we'll go fishing with you. He hasn't gone fishing with me. All right, there's a rack. We've got so many problem permanents in play right now. Sacking elephant to Cabal Therapy me seems loose here. Is that what they're going to do? Nope, they're going to play a second rack. All right, well, our play here is to take nothing to these racks and then AK into Swords and a way to deal with that Sylvan Library. That is our out currently. Tide, if I wasn't at 1, would be interesting. We're going to do it like this, and AK to draw 3, to Decree of Justice. And we found our 4th AK. All right, here's an island. I think we're gonna Decree for 2 and then on tap an AK. They put a card back. They put a card back. They didn't take any extra cards. You're out of your mind. All right, you go to combat, sure. Very low chance they have 2 removal spells. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Decree of Justice cycling. 1, 2. Okay. Blue, blue, make 2 dudes. Draw a card. Flooded Strand, not great. That is a textless piece of cardboard, baby. All right, go to blocks, take a block. We're really scared of Curse Scroll right now, though it would be interesting if they still had them in their deck. If they had it here, they'd just win. Maybe that's why they didn't take damage off the library. Oh, that would be so hot. Like, it's going to be a bummer because we die, but if that's what our opponent does, that's so hot. Wait, blue, is it Bottomless Pit? Okay, I'll put a stop on my upkeep. End step, on tap. Those triggers are all on the stack, my buddy. I'll go colorless, blue, AK. Draw so many fucking cards. Okay. What did I discard here? Wrath of God? That's not the one I wanted anyway. Take a draw. All right, now you've got infinite cards in hand. I think we need to start blinking their turns with Tide. We'll go Island, we'll go blue, blue, white, blue, Tide, and then we'll go, we don't have a way to fade our own Tide right now, so we're just gonna hit everything right now so they can't kill our blocker. And then do we also need to play out Meddling Mage? Seems like, yeah, I don't care what they do on 1 mana, so we're gonna play Meddling Mage. The big question becomes, what are we naming with our mage? You know, I don't think it's still in their deck, but I wonder if no, we're gonna name Call the Herd. They've got so many in the bin. And then that's all we got for you, buddy. You can go. I might actually double block this elephant here. We have to get it out of play. Shame I took all my Stifles out. That'd be a good top deck. All right, they go to combat. We swing it in. All right, I believe we're going for a double block ski. 1, 2. We need that thing to leave play. What's our out here? It's, ooh, that's a treetop village. That's spooky. Yeah, our out here is straight up. I think Decree is our big out. I mean, Exalted Angel would be quite good here. We lost our 2nd Parallax Tide. We got to find something now. Mishra's Factory. I mean, I don't know how good that's going to be, but we'll take it. All right, you should be drawing 3 here. I don't know why our opponent's not drawing more cards. Here, maybe I could see not doing it because of the pit. They can't really extend just yet. They need their lands to come back. All right, they're passing. All right, deck, be good to me. All right, we didn't pitch the mana leak. That's something. Parallax Tide, goodbye. Opponent, hero, all your lands back. Take a draw. It's another land. Man, boy, oh boy, this is brutal. Land, you can go. I now have to use my Mishra's Factory to block. All right, you taking extra cards or what, opponent? Something interesting that happens here. I probably shouldn't have played my land. They're going to attack with Treetop Village and they have a removal spell that I have to mana leak. Their Bottomless Pit's going to trigger first, then I'm going to die to their wreck. So we really need, like, we're out of AKs too. Just getting ground into the dust in this mid game, this late game. Green, Wall of Blossoms. Yes, you draw a card. It happens. Cabal Therapy. Oh, and they're gonna flash it back with Wall of Blossoms. Let's make them do it, but I think we're getting 2-1'd here by our pit rack opponent. Does anyone understand how this matchup is supposed to go? Who's supposed to be favored? On paper, it looks like it's probably the Therapy, enchantment heavy, redundant threat heavy deck is probably in a pretty good spot, but Landstill's got weird game into so much. What are we talking about? Sorry, I missed some comments. Shroom, have you seen the list for the Spanish Nationals? Yeah, yes, I have. I just built some decks for Thursday's paper stream that are straight out of Spanish Nationals. And both at side events, the Nationals had 284 players, the first side event 230, and the second 222. Lots of great decks, especially the Tireless Tribe, that one of the side events. I saw that list. The one with 3 about face in it. They named Decree. Man, I sure would have cycled my Decree if I had it. Since you don't have Standstill, I'd say they are. Standstill matters a lot here, I think. Yeah, I agree. Standstill is just a little bit better than the, and then they Cabal Therapy. Yeah, and they're gonna name Mana Leak, which they know I have. And then, okay, we're 0-2. Putting up some good games though. I think we need to get at least one more game. Also, I would hate to upload a little series of games with absolutely not a single win, but we could go 0-3 here. We found our opponent. Let's see if we can win the die roll. We do. Hi, good luck, have fun. Explanation point. I would love to play first, yes. Hand looks strong. I've got the Tide combo plus permission plus a way to draw cards. I'm keeping. Would hate it if our opponent opened up on basic swamp. I will lead on the island just in case our opponent opens up on fetch. Get him with the Stifle. They mold a 6. Good start. All right. Island, pass. No fetch land is a mountain. Red, Jackal Pup. It's mono red. Interesting. I think our game 1 against this deck is a little bit soft, but we'll see what we can stitch together. Untap, upkeep, and take a draw. It's a Mana Leak. We love Mana Leak here. Play out the plains and pass. I think the Tide combo going to be strong here, especially if I can stop them from resolving like a bunch of threats. But this Jackal Pup's going to go the distance. When the Jackal Pup hits you once, it's better than a lightning bolt because it's already hit you and now you have to deal with it. So that's quite strong. This Jackal Pup's probably going to look like a ball lightning by the end of this game. Goblin Patrol. No. Mana Leak. Got any more of them 1-drops? You do. The Lava Mancer. That makes sense. All right. End step, untap and draw. Faerie Conclave. Strong here. I can't hold up Counterspell, but I really need to be able to Tide. So I'm going to rely on like AK this turn. and hope they don't like just slam down a ball lightning. That would be a bummer. But my alternative is to play Adarkar Wastes and then do nothing next turn. Well, what can you do? You busy for 6, 7, 8, 9? Cut my life total in half. Let's hope they don't have a Fire Blast, guys. End step. Yeah, ball lightning is going to go away. I'm going to tap for 2. This is an example of the mana base not supporting blue for Counterspell well. That was I see what you're saying. This isn't, I'm not going to discuss the mana base for this for a deck that like has posted as many results as it has. I'm not a tuner of mana bases. I'm no Francisco Pavlush. I will say that my version of the deck does play Skycloud Expanse to help support your need for white, but your unwillingness to play too many basic planes. But yeah, it kind of just is the way it is. That was more of a side effect of Faerie Conclave than it was Counterspell, if I'm being honest. It's just our one coming to play tap land happened to be in our hand. Blue, Parallax Tide. Activate, take this out, gimme. All right, do you have the Fire Blast? Gimme. They have the Fire Blast, so I'm at 5 here. Then we take 2 and go to 3 and potentially 2 more if they have a land. But if they don't, we might be able to stabilize off the back of a Swords to Plowshares. We'll see. It's gonna be hard. If they don't have a land here, they might just have to attack with their Grim Lavamancer. All right, they must have a land. They're attacking for 2. I'll take 2. There's a mountain. End step, I think we are going to Tide here. Yep, you activate, I take 2 more. I think it's like a Wrath or Bust here. All right, untap, Tide may trigger, that's fine. All right, here's an island, and what can we do here? Block and just take 2 from the Grim Lavamancer. Technically we can Stifle. It's an out, so I guess we'll play to it. We'll play an island out, and we will pass the turn. Beginning combat, attack. Now, if they attack with the Grim Lavamancer, this doesn't work. They're attacking. Okay, got it. You got it, buddy. You got it. I'm dead. We're going to the board. We've got some action against this matchup, obviously. Exalted Angel, no Hibernation. So many blue blasts. 5 of them. All right, goodbye, all of you. Annul's something I can entertain. Let's see what we're taking out. I think the Tide combo genuinely sucks in this matchup. Stifle, I think, is actually a little bit better than Chain of Vapor. It stifles fetch lands, it stifles Grim Lavamancer triggers. It does a few things, a fair bit. Chain of Vapor does have text against the big ball lightning though, and that's a factor. This is a matchup where Counterspell is not at its best. I could see we're moving up to 3. I mean, that would be an even break there. But that's a lot of Tide pieces and not a lot of tiding happening. So maybe Stifle comes out and we do it like this, something like that. Yeah, I think so. We'll submit this. Not a lot of decks super ready for Sly right now. Most of the lists I've seen online aren't respecting it as much, simply because we just haven't seen a ton in general. It's been losing some real estate in the higher end tournaments, probably because of a very, very bad Dreadnought matchup, if I had to take a wild guess at it. And this will probably be the last game we play with this deck. The next one's a bit spicier from the same tournament. It was the Nantuko League. Any day here, opponent. Nice. All right, we get to be on the play. Second Wrath is better than single Stifle. I don't like Wrath of God in this matchup at all. Although they did show me enough 1-drops where maybe I could be talked into it actually. This hand has Counterspell, Chain of Vapor, Seal of Cleansing, Mana Leak, no white mana. We're kind of in the white mana waiting room. We've got Factories. That's meaningful. Maybe we could like open on Factory, then play an island and see what they've got. Although a lightning bolt blows that out. I think we're going to take the first mulligan. Double seal. Maybe we can pitch a seal. Yeah, I think so. We'll keep this, pitch a seal, and hopefully use this Mana Leak and AK to send us to the moon and finding Exalted Angel. Our opponents also want a mulligan to 6. Not bad. The amount of Stifle Knot and Tide control decks that were on Spanish Nationals is kind of ridiculous. How much was there? I didn't actually do like a metagame breakdown or anything. Let's go with an island and pass. Little mountain action, little Jackal Pup. Mountain, always cast Jackal Pup. Untap, draw swords, rats. This Jackal Pup's gonna go to the moon. Adarkar Wastes, pass the turn. They can get busy for 2. We're not gonna get clocked by a ball lightning in this game, so that's cool. Or we're gonna try really hard not to anyway. They play a single creature, we're just mana leaking it. We need to get our 1-for-1s while we can. Seal of Fire, is that a 1-for-1? Am I gonna counterspell Shock? No. Mog Fanatic, that I will mana leak. Mog Fanatic's gonna deal way more than 2 damage if I let that thing resolve. Cut that out. All right, untap and draw. Wrath of God, not what I wanted to see at all, but that's okay. We'll just pass the turn. Looking pretty hard for swords here. They attack. We are not going to, do we AK and try to find swords? That's interesting. I think we need to hold up Mana Leak for 1 more turn. The list is homemade by Pablo Riboldi, our blackmail master. Very sick. Ooh, another Jackal Pup. Well, we found something to do with our Mana Leak. Now maybe we're gonna get hit by a ball lightning. A 3rd Jackal Pup. Well, now this Wrath of God looks really good. Untap. Draw, Counterspell, just what we were looking for. I think we need to hold up the Counterspell just in case they do have the ball lightning. Take 4, go to 12, then cycle the AK, try to find mana to cast the Wrath. I think that's where we're at. We also can't fetch for basic island because we'll need a second white. And ideally, we don't want it to be super painful. We'll take 4. Seal of Fire, this one we will actually Counterspell. Lose a life. Will we? That's actually interesting. It might be better to Wrath. I think it saves more damage to just try to find and resolve the Wrath. Now, if they have Ball Lightning land, it sucks to suck. End step, drawing 0 Hydroblast is brutal here. It totally is. Tap for 2, and I guess we'll fetch for a Plains here. AKA. Ooh. Oh, okay. So we didn't find the thing we needed, but we've kind of got like action now. Yeah, I kind of did forget we had 5 Blue Blasts. Maybe we should have gone to 5 looking for a Blue Blast. Hard to say. We're at virtual 7, so we do need to start removing these creatures. Swords, the Jackal Pup. Blue Blast, the Jackal Pup. Please don't Pyroblast this. They didn't have it. That's cool. Cursed Scroll. All right, weirdly, our best draw here is literally basic island, I think. Swords isn't going to do it, but Swords is helpful in its own little weird way. Tap for 2. Here's a Seal of Cleansing, and then we'll pop it on the Curse Scroll. We can't have that existing right now. Pass the turn. Please just go land Ball Lightning. Yes. All right, we've got the Swords. We're pretty close to dead anyway if they have a Fire Blast, but hey, what can you do? All right, desperately scraping it, stabilizing. We've got permission, but absolutely nowhere else to go. We're also, it looks like we're at 10, but we're at 6 because of those Seal of Fires. Another mountain, sure. Hey deck, land please. Thank you. Probably one of our better lands too. Although we can't Mana Lake plus Counterspell, which is a little bit awkward. And that's the real bummer about, ooh, Mog Fanatic's gonna be tough, but I think we can just block that with Factory, or try to anyway. But that's the real boon to the Counterspells in this deck is the colorless sources are a bit of a nightmare. You can draw lots of plains. Okay, we're drawing our lands now, but we need to find like a stabilizing mechanism. Simply like drawing and hard casting Exalted Angel should just about do it. They can't willy-nilly get in with Mog Fanatic, so that's pretty great. But I am at a virtual 5. Oh, for real, you're getting in? Okay, activate this. Go to blocks, block it. That was interesting. Don't think they needed to do that. All right, Seal of Fire is gonna kill this even if I pump it to itself, so that's fine. All right, that's action off my neck. Our opponent had us at basically 5. This ring still has us at effectively 4. They're not quite thresholded yet. On tap, Factor. We will pass. All right, here's cross your fingers, chat. We don't want to see a red blast here. Factor, let it resolve, opponent. Interestingly, there was no cop red in the side, by the way. Yeah, this list doesn't have a cop red in the side, which is very strange. All right, they're fire blasting. I might just be dead here. Fire Blast brings me to 6, Seal brings me to 4, Barbarian Ring brings me to 2, any other burn spells lethal. A second Fire Blast, okay. Well, we got absolutely destroyed playing this deck. 0-3. Pretty interesting games though. Kind of showed off what the deck's good at, maybe showed off a lot of what the deck's not so good at. If I were to change this deck, if I were to go play it in a real tournament, the first thing I'd do, because I don't agree that like the mana base just straight up can't support Counterspell, but I think it's not the best at it. I would definitely shave Plains plus basic island and then Plains. So go down to 2 Plains, go down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 basic islands, bring in the first 2 Skycloud expanses, and then bring in the second Dust Bowl as well. It wouldn't have come up in these matchups, but it's a very, you want that game against decks that have greedier mana bases, plus T-Ged and stuff. And then I want a second Exalted Angel on the side, along with, I think I want to cut 1 to 2 of these Red Blast effects and bring in Cops, Cop Red or Warmth, one of the 2. I'm a bigger fan of Cop Red. If we had resolved the Cop Red that game, it's a buy. We did not, so we got brutalized. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I was humbled today. And as always, I'll see you next time.